We all have a body, but have you ever felt like its user manual is written in some kind of secret code? Well, today, we're going to crack that code. We are learning the language that lets doctors, trainers, and physical therapists describe exactly what's going on with our bodies, right down to the millimeter.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a super simple question. Imagine a friend tells you, "Ouch, I hurt my arm." What does that actually mean to you? Is the pain up by their shoulder, down by their wrist? Is it their elbow? In just everyday conversation, the word arm covers a huge, kind of vague territory. And this is exactly why this new language is so important. In the world of anatomy, what you and I call an arm is actually broken down into three totally distinct parts. You have the arm, which is just from the shoulder to the elbow, then you have the forearm, and then the hand. Getting rid of that kind of ambiguity is the whole point. So, and this is the crucial part, this isn't just about being nitpicky or technically correct for the fun of it. In any kind of healthcare field, clear, precise communication is absolutely everything. A person's health can literally depend on every single person in the room understanding exactly which part of the body is being talked about. This whole problem of precision leads us straight to a really elegant solution. I mean, how did science create a universal system to make sure these dangerous mix-ups just don't happen? Well, they started by creating a universal default setting. It's called the anatomical position. You can think of it like the body's factory reset. It's the one single reference point that every other description is based on. And the rules for this position, they are incredibly specific. You're standing up straight, your head and your eyes are level, looking straight ahead. Your arms are down at your sides, but, and this is a really key detail, your palms are facing forward. And your feet are about shoulder width apart, also pointing forward. From here on out, every single description we talk about assumes the body is in this exact position. So that standard pose becomes our universal map. And this image also shows a really fundamental division of the body. See the green area? That's the axial skeleton. Think of it as your core, your head, your neck, and your trunk. And all the cream-colored parts? That's the appendicular skeleton, basically your limbs. Okay, let's keep building on this. Now that we have our starting point, our map, we need a set of directions. You can think of it like a GPS for the human body. Now, before we get into all the technical terms, I want you to know that the core ideas are things you already get. We're talking about concepts as simple as up and down or front and back. The ideas are easy. We're just learning the professional vocabulary for them. So instead of up, anatomists use the word superior, which just means toward the head. And instead of down, they use inferior, meaning away from the head. For instance, your neck is superior to your chest, right? But your chest is inferior to your neck. It's all relative, and these terms are mostly used for that axial skeleton, the core of the body. This diagram here lays out the next two pairs just perfectly. Anterior is the front of the body, posterior is the back. Simple enough. Then we've got medial, which means moving toward the body's imaginary midline, and lateral, which means moving away from it. That blue line you see is the all-important reference point. All right, time for a little pop quiz. You ready? Remember that anatomical position with your palms facing forward? Which finger is more medial, meaning closer to the midline of your body? Is it your thumb or your pinky? I'll give you a second to think. If you said the pinky, you are 100% correct. In that specific position, the pinky is closer to the midline. Okay, last pair for location. For our limbs, that appendicular skeleton, we use a different set of terms, proximal and distal. Proximal means it's closer to the core, or closer to where the limb attaches. Distal means it's farther away. So your elbow is proximal to your wrist, but your wrist is distal to your elbow. Makes sense, right? Okay, so we've totally mapped out locations on the body. But, our bodies don't just stand still. They move. So now we need to define these stages, if you will, or the planes on which all this movement happens. First up is the sagittal plane. I want you to imagine a sheet of glass slicing the body vertically, right down the middle, into left and right halves. Any movement that goes forward and backward, like walking or bending over to touch your toes, happens in this plane. And this incredible cross-section of the nasal cavity, it's a perfect example of a sagittal view. Next up is the frontal plane, which you'll sometimes hear called the coronal plane. This one also cuts the body vertically, but this time it divides it into front and back portions. Think about doing a jumping jack. Your arms and legs are moving from side to side, and that is happening in the frontal plane. This brain section gives you a really clear look at what a frontal cut actually reveals. Our third and final plane is the transverse plane. This is a horizontal cut, like a magician sawing someone in half, dividing the body into upper and lower sections. Any kind of twisting motion, like turning your torso, happens here in the transverse plane, and this detailed look at the abdomen gives you a perfect top-down view. So we have our map, and we have our stages. Now, all we need are the verbs. We need the words that describe the actual action of movement itself. These are called joint actions. And what's cool is they almost always come in pairs, these opposite movements, and they're defined by which of those planes they move in. They're the missing link that connects our location map with our planes of motion. The most common pair you'll hear is flexion and extension. Flexion is just when you decrease the angle of a joint. Think about bending your elbow to do a bicep curl. Extension is the exact opposite. You're increasing that angle, straightening the joint back out. And this pair, it almost always happens in that sagittal plane. Next up, we have abduction and adduction, and these happen in the frontal plane. Abduction is when you move a limb away from the body's midline. A really easy way to remember this one is that to abduct something is to take it away. Adduction is the opposite. You add the limb back toward the midline. See? Easy. All right, let's put it all together. Let's see just how powerful this language can be once you start to really speak it fluently. Okay, let's take a super simple movement, like twisting your forearm. In everyday language, we'd probably say, turn your palm up. But in anatomy, that move is precisely described as supination. And turning your palm down, that's called pronation. See how much more specific and clear that is? There's no room for error. And that's really the beauty of this whole system. What seems complex at first is actually designed for ultimate clarity. So the next time you're at the gym or even just doing a simple stretch in the morning, think about it. Are you flexing or extending, abducting or adducting? Now that you know the basics of this secret code, how does it change the way you think about even the simplest movement? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.